Jono, thanks for joining us. We're here on the eve of Yorkshire, a return of the Duke's ball, which I guess is music to the ears of the bowlers everywhere.
Certainly music to the ears of the bowlers. Yeah, absolutely. The first couple of games, obviously, with the Kookaburra have been tough work for the bowlers. After the first sort of 10 overs, 15 overs, they go soft almost immediately. No real movement or anything. I know, obviously, the experimentation was to make our bowlers better and work out ways of getting wickets, but I'm not sure English conditions, soft ground, wet ball, or damp ball, in the wickets that we're playing on early season, it's just probably too far the other way. Yep. Totally agree that bowlers should be working hard to get wickets, absolutely, but there still has to be a genuine chance of a genuine wicket rather than a caught mid-wicket or a caught cover. Obviously, where they use the ball in Australia, you've got good bounce and carry. So if you do get a bit of swing, you can get a nick that carries. We found, if we do get a nick here, hasn't even carried to the keepers at the slips. And then in the middle overs, you can use your short ball, you can use your slower balls as a variation. Whereas, these wickets, you haven't been able to do that. If anything, it's been slow ball bumpers, which have been more effective than a normal bumper. So I get why we're trying to do it. I just don't think early in the season it really works.
We'll come on to how much the batters have prospered in a moment, but I guess not a single result in Division 2 this round or last. I think one result out of the first 2 weeks of the season is not good for anybody, and I suppose the trial is obviously being run again in the middle of the summer. I guess we can only hope for better then.
Yeah, it's good for the batters. Don't forget that bit. No, it's look, later on in the season when hopefully it's a bit dry, you get the wickets a little bit harder. We did it last year with that. Spin comes into play more. You got more opportunities to set plans up and try and take wickets that way. So, yeah, that's to come. Obviously, we've got the Duke back. We've got a good volume of batting in over the last couple of games. Our batters are in good form against that ball. We know there's stiffer challenges and harder challenges around the corner, but we're in a good place to challenge that head on.
160 years old this year, Jono, the club, and I can't believe in all that time there's been a time going into Game 3 when there are 3 batters averaging over 200. Let's list them. Obviously, double 100 for Higo here at Lords in what was a phenomenal record innings. 200 Max Holden, first of his career up at Northampton, 196 for Lewis. Phenomenal stuff from those boys, and you must have been delighted with, I guess, each time they've gone out there, they've been under the pump with scoreboard pressure.
Yeah, both times obviously bowling first, and they've put big scores on. So looking up at the scoreboard and being that far behind, but showing that attitude and the application to bat long can only sort of help us moving forward in the season. But to be able to concentrate for that period of time and make sure that you go through to those big contributions all the way through has been amazing. And hopefully, as I said earlier, that gives us the confidence that even with the Duke now moving forward, we can get in good positions, we can play with the same attitude and the same commitment to getting forward and back and making good decisions, for long periods of time.
We've spoken before about the importance of people knocking on the door and putting others under pressure. Unfortunately, Sam Robson picked up a tiny fracture to the end of his thumb in that opener, which obviously opened the door for Nathan Fernandez. Quick word on Nathan. First ever first-class performance, his debut for the club, goes out there and hits 100. How impressed were you with him? Obviously the first time many people have got to see him bat out there in the middle for any period of time.
Yeah, he batted fantastically well. He competed all pre-season to play in the first game, to be honest. He was competing to get in that game. Just marginally missed out in that first game. Got his opportunity, obviously, with Sam, unfortunately, fracturing his thumb, as you just mentioned. But he's gone in first time ever, with the C-axis on in a first-class game, and just applied himself exactly how he has done all pre-season and what has impressed us all pre-season. And to be able to actually convert that out into the middle when the pressure's on and you're buzzing about playing, and being able to control those emotions and actually go about your business exactly how you've done in practice was absolutely brilliant. And hopefully there'll be lots more to come.
Absolutely, youngest centurion for Middlesex for many a year. It kind of is testament to what we've been saying about the production of our own talent coming through the ranks. You've got a number of youngsters alongside Nathan who are now featuring in that first 11. Must make you proud that we've got an academy structure that's creating cricketers to come in, and they're proving ready to hit the ground running.
Yeah, absolutely. You look around, I think we've spoken about our homegrown amount of players that we have, and it's a lot, which is brilliant and fantastic. The club want good homegrown players coming through and doing what Nathan's just done and Bams has done in the past, and Helmy and Blake, etc., etc. Higo, there's loads. We've also spoken about recruiting right and bringing people like Higo back to the club, and Lias obviously coming out has added a huge amount of value, not only to the runs he obviously scored in the last game, but what he brings to our changing room and competition for places. And Brooksy coming in, who's going to be a major part of hopefully our successful time moving forward. Recruitment's as important, and we've got to make those right decisions, but it puts more pressure and makes the younger players coming through, they have to be more hungry and better equipped to play in the first team, and that's how we need it. If we're to be a club competing at the top of all formats, we need competition all the way through, and players desperate to play, and not just playing because they've come through a system, but they're playing because they're good enough and they've had to work hard enough to get in and do well.
Absolutely. A tinge of disappointment, I guess, in the fact that the second 11 game down in Horsham got cancelled this week because of the weather. Apparently it's been biblical down there, pitch is underwater. A shame really, I guess, that those second 11 players haven't had an opportunity to get out there, prove their worth and start knocking on that door.
It is, again, I've spoken for a couple of years about how important the second team is and how important that people are competing to play in the first team and putting pressure on the first team boys. So even if you're a Nathan Fernandez who scores 100, you've got to keep going because there's someone else knocking on the door. So yeah, very disappointing they haven't played. Hopefully they'll get a good 4 days under their belt at Radlett this week and start really putting their hands up to play in the first team.
Jono, Yorkshire up next here at Lords over the next 4 days. Up in Northants, you obviously picked an extra batter. You put Esky into the side, Henry Brooks stepped out. What's your thoughts looking at this one? I guess it's a case of looking at the deck first and foremost, isn't it? Because fundamentally you've got a full complement of seamers there. You've got a full complement of informed batters there. The challenges don't get any easier.
You're looking for that scoop again, aren't you, on the team selection? Yeah, well, I'm not going to give it to you as usual. Look, we'll assess it. We've got an idea in our heads how we want to go, but we'll have a final check on Friday morning and make the decision then. And obviously you'll be probably the 7th or 8th to know.
Always nice to feel important. Quick word on Jack Davies, who's obviously stepped into the Gloveman role after Simo left the club after a good 15 years. How impressed have you been with Davo in terms of how he's adjusted?
I think he's been excellent. Scored runs obviously in the first game, firstly, but yeah, from a keeping point of view, he's been really tidy. Hasn't missed any chances. I think he's only conceded one bye out of how many runs? 1,200 odd runs or whatever. He's looked at every part. The first team keeper. He's been very, very good. Very happy with him. As I said, even for Davo as a keeper, there's challenges around the corner. The Duke's ball at Lords can wobble. We would expect hopefully a few more nicks that might carry, so a bit more opportunity to get some catches. But yeah, so far from what's been laid out in front of him, he's been excellent. He's provided so much energy behind the stumps. You look at the way our fielding is. He's promoted that. He's got that going. So that's another area where he's been really good for us. So yeah, so far so good.
Last word, John, on our opponents this week. Yorkshire come to town. We've had some fantastic tussles here with Yorkshire over the years. It's been a while since they've beaten us here. This year, of course, they come on with a couple of England internationals in Harry Brook and Joe Root, both who've been featuring in the last couple of rounds. It's the old head of Adam Lyth at the top of the order, though, that's really stood out for them. He's hit 100 in each game. What are you expecting of this week's opponents?
Exactly what you've said. I mean, they're a strong side. They're one of the best sides in this division. So we're going to have to be at our best to compete with them and try and beat them. They come with their England internationals, as you mentioned. So look, they'll be strong. But we're in a good place ourselves at the moment, and we're really looking forward to the challenge. And that's what it's about. This feels like a first division game, not a second division game. So we'll be head on trying to compete in this game and trying to win.
John, thanks for your time and all the best of luck.
Thank you.